Hello everyone, this is Crota giving you a shoutcast, and game 3 in this series we have PwR Elfi spawning as the blue Protoss player at the 7 o'clock position or 8 o'clock position. Meanwhile, all the way across the map we have Jimpo spawning as the red Terran. Terran versus Protoss here in the Delta Quadrant, and I am happy to see that this is going to be a cross-spawn matchup. This only happens 1 out of every 3 games, but I really think that it creates much more of a balanced style of gameplay as both players are spawning from equal distances from each other. There is also less likelihood of any serious cheese coming in, just because your backdoor expansion rocks over here for the Terran player and here for the Protoss player are not very close to your opponent. And if they do want to try to get units onto this ledge, they do have to try and get some drop ships and have those Colossus walk very far in order to really abuse and harass that low ground expansion. I am expecting a longer game just because this is cross spawn, and now we see a probe already moving out from PwR Elfi. So PwR Elfi now moving out with that very early probe in order to do some scouting. Meanwhile, back over here we see Jimpo setting up a barracks. The barracks rather far from his front door. This will allow SCVs to come over and help out this one SCV if one probe does try to wander too far into the base. PwR Elfi just walking around with this one probe, quickly going to see that his opponent is not there and now back away. One SCV already on the move in order to do some scouting as well. That's SCV scouting cross map. So it looks like, yes, it will be scouting cross map first, and it will be able to come across PwR Elfi a little bit sooner than I believe Elfi will be able to come out that map. No, Elfi going to show up in just a second there, going to be able to see everything he needs to see, but a Marine will be popping out of there in just a second. And did the probe scout anything? No, the probe did not scout the command center. Wow, so PwR Elfi is just absolutely confused on where his opponent has started. This one probe now making its way over here, and it will allow for this one Marine to pop out over here, guard that ramp choke point far before this probe will be able to return back in time. And now PwR Elfi will be playing in the dark. Yeah, this is going to be a very hard hit for PwR Elfi. Elfi playing in the dark for so long, meaning that he needs to get the robotics facility up, and in order to be able to even see what exactly his opponent doing. A second Marine now coming over. No, the Marine simply going to go over here and make sure that there are no proxy pylons before coming back into this position. This one probe still wandering around needs to double check if there was actually a base being put down there, not knowing that he was just slightly beyond sight range on this orbital command. SCV now backing away. That probe still very frustrated, trying to figure out where that Terran player is, and now with a bunker being placed on the front door, Jimpo is in a very nice position. I have seen Terran players build a factory here and then lift it off and try to do siege tanking on this side, but that would be a very unorthodox play. In comes those two Marines. Probe able to pull away just in time. The Marines did not get off enough attacks. One more round of attack from each of those Marines would have shot it down. Back here we do have the reactor now coming in from Jimpo, so this is going to be siege tank Marines now being trained up, as a Hellion also being trained. Robotics facility now nearing completion, and it should have an observer. Yes, observer now being trained. It will fly out across the map in order to get some scouting information. PwR Elfi also activating that center Zelnaga Watchtower in these vents here, enabling him to get sight, and now we see a Nexus being warped in by Elfi. So Elfi deciding to try to expand and turn this into a very long macro game. Jimpo, on the other hand, just doing a 1-1-1 build so far. He did train up a Hellion before the tech lab went down, so this starport should lift off and then take the place of this factory, allowing for cloaked Banshees to be trained up. Wait for the factory once again not. Jimpo proving me wrong, deciding to go for a siege tank. We do see a tech lab now being built down here, so he may just be going for Ravens. Ravens very strong against Stalkers, also very strong against Dark Templars, as we did see moments ago if you are watching these games in order against the Protoss player PwR Elfi in the Zelnaga Caverns. That timing was just absolutely perfect. One Hellion testing the waters, does see that there is this Nexus already being warped in here, will not be able to shut it down, and now in comes the Observer. One Observer now flying, making its way in. The siege tank currently being queued up once again, both sides just trying to macro up a very large army. We now see Mortals being trained up as well. Immortals very strong against siege tanks in siege mode. just because they only take 10 damage per attack, and Immortals also do a lot of damage as well. SCV on the move. SCV did grab some gold minerals and left a supply depot there as a little welcoming present for any nexuses that may be placed in the gold mineral patch here. There are 2 gold mineral patches that the players can try to go for. This one here and this one here, compared to this one here at the 12 o'clock location and this one here at the 3 o'clock location. Marines now moving out, able to quickly shoot down that one observer. And now this SCV, I believe he's just doing long distance mining off of these mineral patches. It's not the best use of an SCV in terms of mineral resources, but I guess it could work out. But that is a lot of SCVs now on the move. 12 SCVs. This is going to be a very strong all-in tactic. Jimpo only has 12 SCVs mining back in his base as the Stalkers now in full retreat. SCVs are on repair. Marine SCVs now moving out. One Raven in the air, offering sight. Auto turrets now being dropped. Immortals making short work of that one Raven. As more force fields now coming in, and now with a lot of force fields, those Immortals taking a lot of damage as well. Marines now trying to make that way over here. Immortal dealing a lot of damage, but the shields have been depleted, and now this one Immortal may get shot down. Down it goes. More fighting. Mass Marines against siege tanks. There are a lot of Zealots though, so are we gonna get another auto turret? No additional auto turret, just not in time there. One siege tank down to 6 hit points. It does get taken down, and now we see a lot of Marines and Hellions pushing out a lot of pressure here. We now also have more Stalkers and Immortals trying to come in. The siege tank out of siege mode, not even pressing with siege mode, as it has not been researched yet. SCVs need to auto repair. Yeah, auto repairing the one Hellion and that siege tank. Once again, backing off, getting some decent distance between these 2 locations. Zealots now giving chase, and the Zealots move at the same speed as those other units. Those Hellion could have perhaps gotten some more damage onto those Zealots, and a very nice tactic there. A lot of SCVs lost by Jimpo in that engagement. 21 harvesters compared to 27. Power Elfi did lose some probes as well, but he does have this nexus here and is able to double train probes. Once again, we may get a refresh on this attack. There are no SCVs in this group though. One Hellion now trying to move out. Siege tanks gonna get some damage onto that pylon, perhaps finish off some of those pylons, stopping any of those warp-ins. More Zealots now being warped in, and those Zealots are now in play. More siege tanks, SCVs repairing the Hellion even further. More SCVs joining in on the battle, holding minerals, hoping that that's a good luck charm in this fight. And now in comes another Guardian Shield force. And now a lot of sentries now pushing out once again. A lot of damage being dealt. Marines and another Immortal dealing more damage to that one siege tank. Siege tank's a little bit out of position once again. Both sides now trying to pull back. More medevacs in the air. Marines trying to fight back against all those Zealots, but the Zealots are doing a great job dealing a lot of damage towards the rest of that attack there. And now Power Elfi is in a dominant position once again, in a very dominant position. 27 harvesters compared to 19. His standing army is also slightly higher as well. Jimpo now needs to perhaps transition into a different style of play. Siege tanks and Marines attempting to clear out these destructible rocks over here. Medevacs and Marines also coming in to join in on this party. More Marines need to walk down that ramp, otherwise those back Marines with only a range of 5 will not be able to join. Now in comes more Marines there, another siege tank coming in, and now we have an aggressive push by Elfi. Elfi now moving out with Immortals and Zealots and Sentries. Robotics Bay now being researched as well. One SCV just simply walking past all of those units there, and that was a little bit of an issue. Stalkers now coming in. Stalkers, not getting any serious damage at all, as it just fell to the Crucio, is it the Crucio shot cannon or the 900mm cannon of that siege tank so quickly. That was just really bad play. And by Power Elfi, walking in a group of walking in 2-3 Stalkers very far in. SCVs should get taken down. Yeah, down. No, it does not get taken down. Down to 4 hit points, and now being repaired once again. One SCV sitting over here. No probe in this group in order to warp in a pylon. One observer on that high ground, and Jimpo now has a much larger army. SCVs not mining, but acting as a decent meat shield here. They are not on auto repair, but they should be. That's probably just an oversight. Jimpo needs to upgrade that to an orbital command as well. Yes, gonna upgrade that before trying to reestablish that expansion there. That was someone's brakes going on outside, not my timer, because all of my videos are now in one part. Back here, you can see Power Elfi continuing to just train up. No, he's not training up any additional probes. And he has a lot of energy on his Nexus. You can see the amount of energy on this Nexus at the natural expansion, 100. He is not chrono boosting his extended thermal lance research or his Colossus. So that is a bit of a surprise there. We now see force fields being dropped down here, and we should really see Power Elfi take this opportunity to drop a force field and then run in full retreat. That army up on that high ground, much larger, will be able to deal much more damage. And now Zealots chasing after one SCV. The Colossus now moving out once again. Extended thermal lance research should be completed. Was it chrono boosted? Yeah, finally chrono boosted. So Power Elfi reducing the amount of time by 10 seconds per chrono boost. Siege tanks here, Hellions are over here, Marines. We do see the stim pack now being researched. No combat shield just quite yet, and now more Marines. So this is mass Marine tank. A medevac now moving out with 4 Hellions. So those Hellions looking to deal some damage. The Infernal Pre-Igniter research has been completed, so that these 4 Hellions are going to be able to deal a lot of damage. If he is careful, and even if he's not, he doesn't have to micro all too much, as it looks as though the main attacking force of Power Elfi trying to knock on that front door. Supply depot here acting as a little bit of sight. We may have the units drop down in this low ground and simply walk up into this location here, getting in a lot of these exposed probes. Those probes are going to fall very easily as this timing attack now coming out. Power Elfi moving out with those Colossus and Stalkers. There are siege tanks in siege mode, and now that's pushing in just a little bit late. Zealots make it taken down. Down it goes. And now perhaps the Colossus will be able to get into this position. But the main story now is going to be this medevac for a full of 4 Hellions, and now dropping, already getting a couple of quick kills there, and now dropping 2 more up onto that high ground. So multiple probes are getting taken down. More Hellions now coming in over here, getting more kills on probes. More Power Elfi just losing multiple probes in both locations. You can see how many kills. 7 kills for each of those. And now Power Elfi is behind. Wow, Power Elfi not placing any cannons, not having any stalkers towards his mineral patch, and that really affected him there. Zealots now being warped in. Zealot charge also being upgraded as well. The additional movement speed will help tremendously. Jimpo now with the stronger harvester count, 35 compared to 29, and wow, what a change in this game so far. Zealots and Colossus on the move. We also have Stalkers now making their way out as well. Siege tanks are going to start blasting away at these units, and now going to be able to get some damage onto those Stalkers. Those Colossus need to make their way in. Zealots do have that Zealot charge. No Zealot charge. And charging in without a Zealot charge, and that may be an issue, as those Immortals are not really pushing in all that well either. 1 Colossus, 2 Colossus now taken down, as those Vikings were able to do their job, and now Vikings trying to finish off the rest of this attack here. Immortals now coming in with Marines. And yeah, that was just a mistake by Power Elfi. Elfi did not micro his units up that ramp. Many of the units were stuck on that low ground. If he had just decided to get Colossus here and then start dealing damage towards these SCVs, perhaps stopping the mining, that would have worked out much better. 3 Colossus are able to single attack swipe against many of those SCVs, hurting the economy. And now things are not looking good. Jimpo does have a slight army lead and also a very significant economic lead. 45 harvesters compared to 38, but mining at double the source of minerals so far, as these main mineral patches are now nearly mined out. Only 4 mineral patches left. 4 mineral patches left over here, as both players need to consider taking up another expansion at some point. Jimpo now getting even more Marines, so it's going to be more Marine siege tank Vikings in the air, offering a lot of support. Stalkers and Immortals taking down this set of destructible rocks in order to set up the gold mineral patch here. And now with 1 or 2 pylons here, and that is it. Power Elfi doesn't have any really early warning system if there are going to be units coming in. Army-wise, 1,300 versus, or sorry, income-wise, 1,400 versus 1,000. Research, we are getting Psystorm. That Psystorm should help out tremendously, as we also have 1 observer nearby in the air, watching many of those Vikings does a dance back and forth. I'm not exactly sure how Vikings can occupy the same space in the air at the same time. That is the freakiest air show I have ever seen. Yeah. Anyways, those Viking ball just able to, with any units, try to get within range. All those Vikings, because they're in such a tight ball, will release all of their rockets at the same time, right when they're within range, and instantly destroy many targets. Void Rays would take 2 rounds of attack. I think Colossus would also take 2 rounds of attack. But as you add to this Viking ball, the more and more devastating it will become. And we now see a lot of High Templars, 6 High Templars in addition to Stalkers and Zealots. Those High Templars with a range of, I believe, 6 on that Psystorm should be able to get a lot of damage onto those Vikings. Those Vikings are being quickly and very tightly packed together, and if that Psystorm gets underneath it, that is a lot of damage very quickly before Jimpo would be able to micro away any of those Vikings. I'm still surprised I don't see another command center being set up anywhere. As I say that, there is another command center right here. It will be lifting off and landing here. Another Nexus here by PwR Elfi, already up and operational, but now we are going into nukes, cloaking research, personal cloaking, and the Mobius reactor. So off of double, actually off of 4 Ghost Academies. I'm like, wait a second, how is he going for 2 nukes and cloaking research and Mobius reactor? It's because he has 4 Ghost Academies, and that means we are going to have massive number of nukes. Stalkers out and about, gonna quickly clean up multiple SCVs here. The command center now gonna take, no, the command center not gonna be able to land anytime soon. Hellion's gonna try to test their luck once again, but there are too many units here. And now those Hellions perhaps would want to sacrifice themselves in order to take down some of these High Templars. High Templars are very low on hit points, only 80 hit points, or 40 hit points and 40 shield to be exact. So what, 3 or 4 Hellions, 4 Hellion shots are definitely able to take it down, and now more damage can be dealt. Hellions once again on the move. Stalkers also on the move once again, able to finish off many of these SCVs. SCVs gonna get picked apart once again, now trying to test the waters, and down goes another SCV. Marines now coming back in, and now in come these Hellions. Hellions getting some damage across those probes. They're trying to get more kills, but there are Stalkers already nearby, intercepting many of those attacks. That one Hellion, I wasn't able to see how many kills there were, but it did get some probe kills there, as well, there was a little bit of probe fragments left on the ground. A decent number of Stalkers here, and now Jimpo just oversaturating his natural low ground expansion. That is going to be an issue eventually, but we are now running off of 2 nukes. More nukes could be trained as the High Templar are on the move. The Ghosts do have personal cloaking though, and the Mobius reactor. There is also 1 observer right here, so that observer will be very key in this fight. More Marines now trying to get into their planetary fortress, now being upgraded, and most likely will get cancelled, as there are no SCVs that I can see. Marauders now quickly stimming in, getting damage across 1 Stalker there, and now units are in full retreat once again. Command center once again lifting off. The 1 Archon here taking a lot of damage. Zealots now trying to charge in over here. SCVs now coming in. Are we going to get any Psystorm? Psystorm on the top of those SCVs. SCVs taking a lot of damage, and now another group of Psystorm and multiple SCVs. Oh, just beyond Psystorm range, and that medevac pulling out, or will be able to offer some healing onto that group right there. Observers still offering sight up onto that high ground. That command center is being repaired, and things are looking good for PwR Elfi. Elfi does have the stronger economy, but as I say that, a nuke has been called down. No observer nearby. A forge now being warped in. 2 probes didn't get the memo that a nuke will be falling out of the sky, and down it goes. So that Ghost did get 2 kills, but not very much after that. And now this 1 Ghost looking to get more kills, now hiding off away in the corner, perhaps is going to decloak, as another nuke was launched over here. If you guys wonder, I do not have game sounds on, so I cannot hear when a nuclear launch has been detected. I need to watch the minimap very carefully. 1 Ghost up on that high ground was stopping some of the mining there. Another 4 nukes is currently being built. So multiple nukes will be coming online in just a second. I don't see an observer anywhere nearby. Jimpo needs to get another nuke off, and in a hurry, otherwise it's not going to work. We can see 1 nuke already being launched off over here, hitting some of these probes. Are we going to get another nuke here? No, as the main fight going back and forth. I'm going to rewind that. So in comes this main fight now. Immortals and Stalkers and Zealots now trying to engage. Psystorm hitting many of those units. SCVs and so many of those units just tightly packed together, falling to the wayside. Both sides taking a lot of damage. Vikings now coming into that ground mode, but so much Psystorm. And wow, PwR Elfi using a very, very effective size from dealing a lot of damage here. This one Ghost, however, did get a lot of kills, 23 kills there, as another nuke now coming in. A large attack force now coming in, and Jimpo says GG. So Jimpo saying GG here in the Xel'Naga Caverns. And this is the third game in this 3-game set. Apparently they were uploaded out of order, and unless this wasn't a best of 3 and they were just practicing. But yeah, very, very nice games between Jimpo and Power Elfi on these 3 stages. Yeah, the very, very effective use of Ghosts, but those Ghosts did not counter the High Templar, and that was the problem. Also, Jimpo never really did anything after that first early Raven to make sure that there were no observers in his base. As soon as Power Elfi, the longer this observer was here, as Power Elfi was able to establish this observer, he knew exactly where those siege tanks were, how to stay just beyond that combat range, and just continue to fight. Thanks for watching, thanks for listening. I hope you guys enjoyed this 1v1 replay between Power Elfi and Jimpo here in the Delta Quadrant.